Your first and last name?
Tyler Edmonds, Edmonds. I'm the state's attorney in Union County in Southern Illinois.
Okay. I want to ask you about the death penalty because Governor Quinn is expected to sign it today. You have any comments?
Well, first, I want to say that obviously I respect the governor's decision, and I respect the opinions on the other side of the issue. There are a lot of moral issues involved with the death penalty, so I completely respect that and understand it. I am, however, disappointed in the governor's decision to sign the legislation. I think it takes an important tool off of the table for law enforcement. I do think the death penalty is something that should only be applied in a very limited number of cases when the evidence is clearly overwhelming and there is really no doubt as to guilt. But I do think it's very important that we have that tool available for the most heinous of crimes, and also it's important to keep in mind there are certain situations where somebody may already be looking at life in prison or may be in prison and they really have nothing left to lose at that point. And I think it's important for the protection of law enforcement as well as our correctional officers that we still have something more on the table besides life in prison. But it is something that obviously should be used very sparingly and only in cases where there is no doubt as to the guilt of the accused.
But there have been innocent people who have been convicted.
There certainly have, and obviously I can only speak for the prosecutorial decisions that are made in my office, but those type of decisions is something that I think only should be made where evidence of guilt is clearly overwhelming, and I think as DNA evidence continues to advance as it has in the last decade, I think that really will reduce any issues with wrongful convictions in this context.
Are there any death penalty cases in your county?
I'm in a small county, about 20,000 people in Southern Illinois. We don't have any pending death penalty cases. However, some of our neighboring counties do, and obviously we talk to a lot of other states' attorneys and law enforcement officials, and I just think it's very important to have that as a tool. Clearly something that should be used sparingly. I don't think any of the state's attorneys have advocated for an expansion of the death penalty. In fact, the State's Attorneys Association has offered up a number of reforms that we believe would make the death penalty even more of a safe and viable tool to use in these types of contexts. Unfortunately, those haven't been brought to the fore in the General Assembly. We've only really dealt with the opposite end where we're just looking at a complete ban.